Let me explain for the public what all these means in practical terms. When we declare a tactical alert, we're activating a department-wide operational posture that enables us to reallocate officers rapidly, hold over shifts as needed, and prioritize major incidents. Officers assigned to the field remain in their areas unless they're reassigned. Activities are narrowed to police work of significance or major importance, and officers who are able to return to the field in their areas of assignment. We also notify all relevant command staff, including my office, the Office of Operations, Emergency Operations Division, in order to ensure seamless communication and coordination. In response to current events, we've also implemented a partial mobilization of the department, which means we've extended watch hours, deferred days off for some personnel, and alerted off-duty officers to be ready for deployment. Our ability to scale up quickly is essential during this kind of fluid and unpredictable situation. We're deeply appreciative of the assistance we've received through the California Mutual Aid System, with officers and deputies from across Southern California already on the ground in Los Angeles supporting our efforts. We're also aware of reports that the President intends or has deployed U.S. Marines to Los Angeles. The introduction of federal military personnel without direct coordination creates logistical challenges and risks confusion during critical incidents. The Los Angeles Police Department, alongside our mutual aid partners, have decades of experience managing large-scale public demonstrations, and we remain confident in our ability to be able to do so professionally and effectively. We urge full transparency and communication across all levels of government. Our priority is simple: keep both the public and law enforcement officers safe and to maintain order. To the public, we fully support your right to peacefully protest, but let me be absolutely clear. Those who choose to incite violence, engage in vandalism or graffiti, or attack officers will be arrested. There is no tolerance for criminal activity under the guise of protest. And many ask, not a lot of people, relatively speaking, have been arrested during this incident. Well, I would say that I wouldn't argue with you on that, but many more will be arrested as the investigation continues. There will be many more subsequent arrests. Finally, I want to offer my deep gratitude to the men and women of the LAPD and all of our partner agencies who are out there standing side by side. They're working long hours under intense pressure, and what I've seen is professionalism, courage, and commitment to this city has never been more evident than in the past couple of days. Thank you all very much.
Buenas tardes y gracias al alcalde Bass de la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Desde esta tarde el Departamento de Los Ángeles está en alerta táctica y movilizamos a todos los oficiales en el departamento. Estos pasos son para designar áreas criticales y nos da la libertad de expandir nuestras capacidades para permanecer la ciudad segura y todas las comunidades y a responder a todas las comunidades en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Ahorita todos los que estamos viendo es que todo está sano, pero estamos listos a recibir o a ir a responder a cualquier de disturbios o ocasiones ilegales. Cuando declaramos una alerta táctica, activamos el entero departamento y podemos movilizar a incidentes mayores. Los oficiales patrullan sus áreas y se quedan en sus áreas hasta que los resignamos a los disturbios. Las actividades de patrulla son menos y todos los oficiales se quedan en sus áreas por si hay emergencias en las comunidades. También todos los operativos están comunicados con todos los oficiales de personal. Esto quiere decir que no tomamos días de descanso y los oficiales pueden trabajar hasta 18 horas diarias. Esto es para que el departamento esté listo a situaciones que no podemos predecir. Les agradecemos a toda la asistencia, a todos los departamentos de policía del sur de California que están aquí ayudándonos en la ciudad. Los oficiales y los deputies están en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Ahorita tenemos más de 48 oficiales de otras ciudades y 494 oficiales del California Highway Patrol. También tenemos reportes que el presidente va a mandar a 700 Marines y la Marina va a cuidar a edificios federales entre la ciudad. La instrucción de la militar federal ahorita causa un poco de confuso con lo que estamos haciendo, pero tenemos todos los oficiales en la ciudad de Los Ángeles que tenemos muchas décadas de experiencia con estas demostraciones y tenemos sistemas profesionales para poder dejar la ciudad en buen orden. Vamos a urgir que seamos transparentes y comunicamos con todas nuestras comunidades y las oficiales del gobierno. Al público los apoyamos y completamente tienen el derecho de protestar. Y es su derecho de protestar, pero también sabemos que hay gente que viene a causar solo vandalismos y crímenes, y a esa gente los vamos a arrestar. No vamos a tolerar actividades criminales que ocultan como protesto civil. Finalmente, les quiero ofrecer mis gracias a todas las mujeres y los hombres del Departamento de Policía y todos los departamentos que están aquí ayudándonos en nuestra ciudad. Gracias por su dedicación y su ayuda profesional. Y les vamos a seguir dando información en inglés y en español como viene. Gracias.
It was Commander Herman Hurtado, who is in our Professional Standards Bureau. I'm also joined by Commander Ryan Whiteman, who usually works Operations South Bureau, but during this incident is the Day Watch Incident Commander. So I'll take any questions you have. If they're detailed questions, Commander Whiteman would probably be better able to answer those.
How does the mobilization that might be coming affect what you guys are trying to do on the ground, and what is your biggest concern with that?
Yeah, the mobilization is what we do internally to be able to get more officers out there. We had declared that earlier, and now we'll have the ability to have roughly 400 additional officers deployed to the field.
Are you concerned with the federal mobilization? I mean, the National Guard and the Marines possibly coming this way?
Yeah, when I look at this, and my assessment may not be accurate based on this thing's continuously churning, but I see two parallel tracks that don't work together, if you will. We're dealing with the issues on the street that you see every day. We deal with that with LAPD resources. When we need additional resources, then we reach out to the sheriff, who brings in mutual aid. We have 14 different agencies working with us for that purpose. And then only if we weren't able to continue to deal with that and needed additional help would we reach out to the sheriff, who would then request National Guard from the governor. So that's one line. The other part then is the National Guard were federalized by the president to support federal agents who are working on behalf of ICE to do their operation. The Marines were brought in then today, evidently, to join the Army National Guard in doing what their main mission has been identified as, which is the protection of federal employees and federal property.
Do you feel that incites those? Do you feel that makes it any different on the streets?
You know, I think everybody, it's a very emotional topic, absolutely. You know, could I quantify what that is? I think it has certainly heightened everybody's level of awareness and certainly anxiety. But to be able to quantify that, I wouldn't.
Chief, how are you
We'll take two more,
avoiding
we'll take two more questions, and then the chief has to step out, but he'll come back.
I'll be back.
How are you avoiding less lethal weapons being used on people who are merely there in the way, potentially? Because it doesn't seem like everyone that's being hit and is being attacked, including press. I don't know, like, it doesn't really make any sense that people are just being shot at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, can you
Sure.
explain how you would minimize or at least just not do that?
Yeah, we minimize it through training, through the equipment we use. It is a target-specific munition. That's not to say that it always hits the intended target, particularly in a dynamic situation. I know that the situation you're referring to with the member of the media, we saw that. We're very concerned about that, and we're looking into that.
What about the horse trampling and well, the horse, the person
Yeah,
on the horse?
we're also aware of that, and we're looking at that as well.
Chief,
go ahead.
Jeff, go ahead, and then Mary Beth, and then he's gonna come back,
If I
guys.
may. You know, all of the streets surrounding the federal building complex, Los Angeles, Temple, Aliso, Alameda, they've all been cleared. You've pushed the crowd away from them.
Right.
I know you can't talk about all of your tactics, but in terms of the benchmarks that you want to hit tonight, are you moving people away from the freeway as well by clearing out those streets and moving them towards the west?
Yeah, we're trying to move them away from wherever the threat is. So if there are people assaulting officers, which is often the reason they're taking rocks or bottles or pieces of concrete, then they will attempt to disperse that crowd so that they're not enabled to continue to do that, and move them out. If they can target individuals who've been the ones who are the aggressors, who are throwing the rocks, and they can safely go in and arrest those individuals, they will. Some of those will be arrested later, and after having been identified. And so this thing is moving forward in a way that some get frustrated with and watch. But we're out there, and we have an approach to this where we're not going to move a crowd into an area where it's going to cause additional problems, into the Civic Center or into the freeway. We're going to move them away where we think they can do the least damage, and we're going to try then and employ tactics that would minimize that even further.
Mary Beth, he's
How
gonna
many
come back.
businesses have been damaged and looted? I know there, LAPD reservations have been put out, that there's some looting going on at Sixth and Broadway. And as the National Guard, have they actually engaged with these protesters? Some media outlets were reporting that they were actually sending out tear gas, and I know on our channel, we did not see that.
No, not that I'm aware of at all. That I'm aware of, there were at least 3 businesses that were broken into and property taken from them along Broadway and maybe other places. As far as the National Guard deploying anything other than around the federal building, I'm not aware of anything like that.
Right? Oh, headquarters damaged, correct?
Yeah, damaged, yeah. The whole Civic Center, there was significant damage as it relates particularly to graffiti, broken windows, that kind of thing.
Chief, would any talk about a possible curfew at all? There have been some mention of that if things had continued at this point, any thought of curfew?
Yeah, no, we're always thinking about that. That's always a tool we can employ. We certainly hold that to do that. And this is a pretty isolated area where this is happening relative to the size of the city. So we would, if we were to use that, it would be done very judiciously.
What can you tell us about the staffer for Councilmember Gerardo that was arrested?
I won't talk about any individual cases. There's a lot of cases where we have arrests. There's other cases that arrests are pending. So as far as on an individual basis, I don't have enough facts about any individual one to talk about it.
Chief, can you talk about parallel tracks with having the federal, military here and having the other, National Guard. Talk about how that, I don't want to say hinders, but how that affects what you guys do and kind of what that's doing in terms of.
Yeah, right now, from a policing standpoint, we're dealing with civil unrest on the street, at the same time trying to protect peaceful protest or uphold people's First Amendment rights. And so it's we're doing the work that police officers all over the country do every day. We have a situation here where it has gotten out of control relative to some individuals in the crowd doing things that none of us would approve of. So we're trying to deal with them as best we can. The challenge are the crowds are very large, and we end up moving them from one place to another as we disperse them. And so we're trying to be show restraint and be as judicious as we can about how we do this. But as I mentioned, a lot of the follow-up investigation that will follow will hold people accountable for their actions.
And how does it impact you having potentially the Marines here and National Guard? Talk about how you're kind of working that and the impact it's having on the public.
Yeah, I'm sure the level of anxiety, particularly in our immigrant community, is extremely high. And so we certainly understand that. Our role, and we've been as clear as we can be, and I'll talk to any group anywhere about what the LAPD does and doesn't do. And as far as civil immigration enforcement, we don't do that. You'll often hear references to Special Order 40. A special order in LAPD world, it basically just changes the manual, the policy and procedure manual that's going to be printed the following year back when we printed them. And so that order came out in 1979. So for 46 years now, the rules of the LAPD have been, we do not stop people to find out their immigration status, and that is not a factor in any subsequent interaction we have with them. And so my hope is that the public continues to trust the LAPD to come forward if they're a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime, and not let their immigration status get in the way of their seeking help from the police department. That is not our role, and if we were to take that on as a role, it would be against our interest as the providers of law enforcement and safety for our community, because it would erode public trust.
Any
All right,
concerns
Chief,
that the
Chief,
military
do you
will
have
step
a-
in now and take over? I guess that's my question.
I'm sorry, say that.
Concerns that the military could step in and take over part of your role.
I mean, no, I think we're in uncharted territory right now, so I would be speculating to talk about that. My hope is we continue to do our job as well as we can with the partners we've brought in. I mentioned the 14 agencies that are helping us, and that we're able to get things back to the way they should be, the way the public deserves and expects them to be very quickly.
Chief, do you have an update on the number of arrests by chance?
The last I heard was 42. Yeah.
Today?
Not just today, no.
I believe that's
Today was relatively quiet relative to the last 2 days. And so I don't expect the count to be high as of this point.
Is
Tonight,
42 just LAPD, or
No.
does that include CHP and sheriff?
CHP, and I think the sheriffs had 1 or 2, the CHP had a number of them, and LAPD had the other arrests.
Chief, plans for the department tonight, tactical alert, what happens in this?
Yeah, we're on tactical alert. We've mobilized as well, partial mobilization for the Office of Operations as well as motor officers. So that gives us the ability to draw on additional resources to be able to deal with the needs of the day. We can downsize that if we need to, or we can escalate it to the rest of the department or other parts of the department if we have to as well.
Talking
Right,
to
yeah.
neighboring
Yeah.
agencies, neighboring cities, are we gonna be asking for more help to come into a department that is understaffed?
That'll depend on what tonight looks like and what tomorrow then plays out to be. Our hope is to be able to downsize as quickly as we can to release our partners back to their own communities. We're very thankful that they're here with us, that they're partnering with us to do the job that we're doing today. But my hope is to be able to free them up as soon as we can to go back doing their role, serving their communities.
Last question from Jeff.
Chief, if I may, last night, a lot of people saw CHP officers taking on chunks of concrete onto their vehicles. And you were talking about, being able to be mobile in a situation like this and moving around. Can you talk to us about some of the challenges that your officers face? Because sometimes people will see something on TV and they wonder why help is not on the way quick enough.
Yeah.
Is that-
Thank you. And that's something that frustrates people all the time. And I know if I'm watching it at home, I'm going, where are they? What are they doing? But what I can tell you is that the camera will often be where the police are not, or the police are not in sufficient numbers to be able to go in. Because when you go in and you make an arrest, for every arrest you make, that takes 2 to 3 people off the street to process that arrest. Every arrestee has to be detained, placed under arrest, then transported to a facility to further process them, and then book them. They may need medical treatment on top of that if they have a pre-existing condition or something that needs help. So every step of the way, that's bringing in more people. So you're taking bodies from the field, from the problem that you're dealing with to do that. So to go out and look for large numbers of arrests is very difficult to achieve. We don't try and run up numbers on arrests. We try and be able to keep the peace as well as we can, and as I mentioned before, to be judicious about making arrests, because we have limited resources and we're trying to maintain them in the field as best we can. When the situation dictates and arrests are necessary, then we try and do that with putting arrest teams in place, being able to do that safely, and then we have the transportation, the jail bus or vans, and then we need a processing team to carry out the booking, and then to be able, if appropriate, either transport them to another facility or to site and release them. So there's a lot goes into it behind the scenes other than just the arrest at the scene.
What types of things are they arrested
No,
for?
I gotta cut the questions off, sorry. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Chief.
Let me do just that one if I could. Give me that again if you would.
Yeah, what types of things were these people arrested for?
Yeah, we saw everything from failure to disperse for when they were told that it was an unlawful assembly and that they would be subject to arrest if they did not leave. Many of them did not leave and were arrested for that. We had others arrested for assault with a deadly weapon on police officer. We had a variety of different types of crime like that. But we also had one with a Molotov cocktail that I believe was booked for attempt murder on a police officer who used that in that fashion. So our officers are out there. I take my hat off to them. This is very, very difficult deployment. But as well, I thank all of you because you're out there getting the video on this, putting yourselves in harm's way also. So hopefully we all get through this quickly and safely as much as we can. So thank you all very much.